James, what kind of progress have you made this spring compared to what your expectations were? And are there any areas where maybe you didn't think you got as much done as you hoped to?
Yeah, I think right about where I thought. You're asking me after a good practice. I thought we had a good practice today on both sides, competitive energy. I thought that was good. I think we're about where I thought we would be. We had a big question mark with the specialists. Feel good about the long snapper, feel good about the punting competition, feel good about the field goal competition. So that's been good. I think there's still some question marks in terms of depth at D tackle. We got to get resolved there. And then I still think there's still a question mark at wideout. Who's going to be the third wideout? That's still pretty open competition with a number of guys competing for the job, and then some talent still coming in.
Offensive line cross-training, Ben, I know you talked about that, wanting to get some guys versatility and reps at different positions. How do you feel that's gone, and where's the benefit for guys when they're doing that?
Yeah, I think it's good. I think it has been valuable this spring for multiple reasons to see who are the guys that we think can do it and take on that extra responsibility. But there's also value in who are the guys that can't do it, that need to focus on one position, whether it's outside or inside or whether it's right or left. I think there's a ton of value really in both ends of the spectrum on that. What it does is it allows us, say if we're in a situation, say you have a 10 deep on the offensive line, then that's perfect, great. But if you don't, and say your 6th and 7th linemen are better, clearly better than your 8th, 9th, and 10th, then hopefully you're in a situation where the 6th guy can go in at multiple spots and the 7th guy can go in at multiple spots. So let's get the next best guy on the field. So we'll see. We got some time there. I do think we have a chance to have 9 or 10 guys, but we'll see how that plays out. And then the other part for that is, okay, maybe that next best lineman, his best position is at right tackle. So then you have the flexibility to take the right tackle and move to the left tackle or whatever it may be. So we'll see how that plays out.
Hey, Singleton, Abdul, Katron, that made big impacts a year ago. What's their growth been like this spring?
Yeah, obviously, you guys know, as well as I do, those guys had huge years. So what you're trying to do is do everything you possibly can that they can take a step from year one. And you'd love it to be as pronounced as maybe a guy that redshirted or a guy that played a complimentary role, backup role, and only got a few reps a game. I think everybody would be excited, obviously, fans, media, and everybody else, if those two guys as productive as they were last year, if they could take a significant step this year. And I think they can. They've approached things the right way. They're obviously bigger, stronger, and faster than they were a year ago. Not only are they faster out here running 40s, but they're faster in terms of understanding the playbook, understanding college defenses and schemes. So they won't be thinking as much this year. They've been in the same system now for 2 years. So I think there'll be value coming from that. I also think we'll be improved on the offensive line. And I think we'll be similar, if not improved, at tight end.
Dialogue about what kind of athletic department Penn State wants to be on the facilities and NIL front. What are the ramifications of not staying up to pace with what you want to be? And is there a point where too much water has gone under the bridge to really ever catch up?
Great question. I don't think it really should be a discussion. I don't think it really can be a discussion, because when you're Penn State and you're in the Big Ten, the reality is if you choose and want to compete at the very highest level, you guys have heard me say this before, you can't pick and choose what you're going to compete in. I think the other thing is, you guys remember, this discussion is very similar to a discussion we had 10 years ago when I was talking about facilities and people were looking at me like I was crazy. And the reality is, the people that were aggressive on the front end with facilities, then obviously they're able to shift their focus to the new challenge. So the reality is, as you guys have heard me before, whether it's facility, whether it's staff size, whether it's alignment, whether it's NIL, whether it's all these things, if you truly want to compete at the highest level, then you can't say we're going to be competitive in these 3 areas and not in this one. Where we are as a top 10 program, those areas that you are behind become glaring, obvious issues to people that really understand and study college football and college athletics. So I think your point is a good one. That's why I'm very pleased that over the last couple of years we've been able to make significant impact in recruiting. You hear people talk all the time, in facilities, and you hear recruits talk about it all the time, the impact that it's had. I think about last year, our weight room was in here. What we're going to be able to get done in the off season with this weight room and this indoor facility, it has an impact. I remember Bob White talking about the year they won the national championship. I think it was '86. Mike, you may know better than me, but they had the indoor facility. They were one of the only programs in the country that had an indoor facility at the time, and they were able to practice that entire period in the indoor facility. And Bob talked about having a big impact on the national championship. When it's interesting, when some of the storylines have been, well, we didn't have these things in the past. Well, we really did. That football facility was the best facility in all of football. College teams from all over the country, NFL teams came to visit it. So I don't know where that storyline came from, but it's not accurate. So we've made significant ground up in the last year, but again, we got to keep the pedal to the floor. I think we obviously just saw, some decisions that weren't completely made, in the basketball program, but that was a big part of it. We know that.
James.